Hey, what's up, future? My name is Cole Jacob Wiss. Today is August the 10th, 2021, and today we're going to be talking about my stalker who went by the name of Annabel Keaton. This is a warning before the story begins that this is not a story for children. This is strictly for anyone of or above the age of 18. There's no way I can tell this story and be PG about it, okay? This is in no way going to be family friendly. So our story begins in my senior year of Brentwood, grade 12. At the very beginning of the year in September, I wasn't with Maya yet, and I'm pretty sure we weren't even friends at that point. I think we started becoming friends in November. So yeah, I was totally single and ready to mingle. So one day on September 17th, 2018, I received an Instagram DM from some random girl. She had already liked a few of my drawing posts and left a couple of comments, so I wasn't completely unfamiliar with her, her profile. But the message consisted of basically her asking if there were any photos she could have of me that she could draw, and she explained that she was also an artist. I personally love the idea of collaborating and sharing art with just random other artists over social media. So without hesitation, I was like, oh, sure, why not? So that's exactly what I did. I got a few good photos of myself at the time, and I sent them her way. After that, though, she kept talking. She kept the conversation going. She asked if I go to Brentwood. I said yes. She said she was at UVic, and it basically came to her asking if I wanted to grab coffee sometime. And at the time, I thought that was very exciting because it's a chance to go on like a real date with like a complete stranger, something I hadn't done before. So I was totally up for it at the time. So I replied, yeah, I'd totally be up for it, but how are we gonna, figure out that distance thing? Because UVic is on basically the other side of the island, and it's like a 2-hour drive or something like that. And this for me was like the first sign that something is like a little off, and that's because mentioning the 2-hour drive, she didn't hesitate in saying she was willing to go that distance to have coffee. And obviously I was restricted to going anywhere because I live on Brentwood campus, and the students don't have a lot of freedom to just drive anywhere, and I didn't have a car either. So that was an impossibility for me. But it was the fact that she was willing to drive such a long distance to meet me. I was like, it's a little bit weird. So after a while, she gets back to me and tells me that her first drawing is complete, and she basically just sends me a Snapchat out of nowhere with this image. And at this point, I'm a little creeped out because, God, that is, I mean, I'm not a professional artist or anything, but that is horrendous. That is really, really bad. And also, it's not one of the photos that I sent her, so I can't remember the context. Maybe I did send her this photo, but other than that, I can't remember exactly how she got a hand of this photo, because this is not me from Brentwood. This is me in like the 10th or 9th grade at West Van High. So at this point, I'm disinterested in her. I've kind of been, ignoring her a little bit. A lot of my messages don't have much enthusiasm as they used to, but she is still very adamant on meeting me and becoming friends or having a first date or something like that. So she's still DMing me quite a bit and Snapchatting me. And I remember very distinctly one night I send this snap back to her, sort of just everyone on Snapchat knows it, where you just send your face. You don't have a caption or anything. You're just replying with pictures of each other, which is stupid. But when it's someone you don't care about and you're trying to ignore, that's what you do. You don't say anything. It's just a picture of your face. So that's exactly what I did, except it was very late at night. So it's just bright flash in my face. My eyes are closed. I'm sort of like this. I got bedhead and everything. And I send that. Big mistake. A few days later, she sends me a photo of a new drawing, and here it is. Just take it just take it in for a second. Just take it in. Yeah. So this time I really replied and I said, I didn't want to be rude, so I said, "Oh, ha ha ha, that's way too handsome to be me." And she basically said, "Oh, that's ridiculous." Now this thing looks like a fucking Ken doll. This thing looks like a Barbie. This does not look like me or anyone I've ever met in my entire life. She like charcoal smoothed out like for the shading. She made my nose so very defined and gorgeous, and my lips are so pursed, and it's just, oh my god. It's probably one of the most horrendous drawings I've ever looked at in my entire life, and that's biased because it's of me. Like, it's just truly the worst. That's not even the end of it. She was so proud of this drawing, she felt the need to post it on Instagram publicly for everyone to see. And I was tagged, and the caption was this: apparently too handsome to be at Cole Wist. Big, 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 big no for me. There's no way I'm having that on the internet with my name attached to it. No, there's no way. So I asked her very politely to not take down the drawing. She can keep the drawing up, but she had to remove the caption. She had to remove my name, because there's no way I'm letting that happen. So she did actually eventually, not eventually, right after I asked, she took it down. This fucking story is getting me parched. So at this point, I'm absolutely fucking creeped out. There's absolutely no way I ever want to meet this person in real life. And being new to having someone be crushing on you to the point where it's creepy, I don't know what to fucking do. I don't know how to respond to any of her DMs or messages or whatnot. So I'm just showing no effort. I'm putting no effort into replying to any of her messages. So a few months go by, and we're still exchanging Snapchats, and I'll get the occasional Instagram or Snapchat message from her, like of her sending me Marvel superhero or Harry Potter memes that are extremely unfunny that I just had to ignore. But at this point, she thinks we're like buddy buddy, right? She thinks we're getting really close, and she's making progress of, getting closer to me. At some point, I actually realized that Annabel was not a complete stranger. And the reason I found this out is actually from my sister, who actually ended up meeting her. So the first instance of Annabel actually meeting up with the people in my life is with Indy. And from this story is when I realized that Annabel is actually someone from my old high school who was a part of my ninth or 10th art class. But from this, it was revealed that she had basically been creeping on me even back then, even all those years ago, in the classroom, and that she admired my work and whatnot. Yeah, she ended up meeting up with Indy, who was, I believe this was in 2018, when Indy was going back to West Van for one of her first breaks, because she had been attending Brentwood for the first few months, and so this was her first break back. And being back at West Van High for the first time in a while, she just happened to run into Annabel. But that's not my story to tell, that's Indy's story to tell, so I'm going to let her tell it right now. Keep in mind, Indy's a little bit all over the place, and she'll get off topic a little bit, and she'll be a little bit more crude than the average person, but just go along with it, alright? So yeah, here's Indy explaining her experience with Annabel.
The year was...
2019.
No, it was 2018. Yeah, it was during one of my first ever visits back home from Brentwood. It was a month of dark rain. Anyways. I went back to West Van High. I don't know where to look. Do I look at you or do I look at the camera?
You look at the camera.
So it was my first year at Brentwood. I was in grade 10. I went back to West Van High, my old high school, with friends during a school day. So everyone was there just to, like, see people and see the teachers because I was weird. I don't know why I had any interest in doing that. The thought of it makes me want to kill myself. Anyways, so I go in, and the whole school's filled. You know, it's like class time or something. I don't know if it was during lunch or something, but it was during, like, people were walking around, okay? So Emily McMinn, good friend of mine, and some other girl took me into a classroom up on, like, the top floor of West Van High. And we go in, and there's this girl with a really bad receding hairline and, like, bright orange hair. No, like, balding. Like, full, like, you look like you can see through the top of her head. Like, it's awful. And I instantly recognize her because I know her siblings. So anyways, I knew her because I knew her brothers, which are both very normal, nice guys. I don't know her name, but I recognize her. I'm like, oh, it's that chick. Like, whatever. And there's a cage in the classroom, and I hear little beep, 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 right? So I'm like, oh, it's an animal. And they're baby chickens, little fuzzy little chicklings. I literally have photos. Anyways, so I go in because Emily wants me to see the chickens. Because who doesn't want to see baby chickens, am I right? So she takes me in to see these baby chickens, and Ginger bitch is like, oh, here's a chicken. I'm like, oh, thanks. So I'm holding the chicken. I'm petting the chicken. I'm like, oh my god, it's so cute. Not paying attention. Like, literally no care in the world for this, like, little fucking firecracker or whatever. So I'm like, oh, chicken, chicken. And then she's like, hey, what's your name? I'm like, oh, I'm Indy. What's your last name? I'm like, it's Wist. You're Cole Wist's sister. I'm like, yeah. And the whole time, like, it's like side conversation. Like, I'm talking to Emily, I'm like, chicken, chicken, and then this bitch is like, you're Cole. I'm like, yeah, right? And then she's like, oh, yeah, how is he? I'm like, he's good. You know, he's good. She's like, oh, yeah, like, what's he up to? I'm like, oh, I don't know, he's at school, he's at Brentwood still. You know, he's grade 12. What's he thinking for school? I'm like, I think UVic. I don't know. She's like, yeah, he's a really good artist. Like, I follow his art account, and he's, like, really good. I'm like, yeah, totally. He's really good. Mm-hmm. And then she proceeds to just impede me with all these very forward, odd questions about my brother, and the whole time I'm, like, barely acknowledging her. I'm talking to my other friend. I'm getting my friend to take pictures. I'm taking videos of the chicken, and Annabelle's like, do you want me to take a picture for you? I'm like, okay, sure. So she takes my phone. She takes a picture of me with the chicken. I'm laughing. And then she gives me the phone. And I'm like, oh, thank you. And then she's like, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go. Like, thanks for the chicken. She's like, yeah, like, let your brother know, like, that, like, I do art too. Like, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I leave. So I go to look at the, I go to look at the photos that she took of me, and, you know, I'm scrolling through. I'm like, oh, that's cute. And it's a picture that she took of herself on my phone, trying to do, like, a funny face, but, like, the photo's, like, you can see, like, it's like this, and the lighting is, like, going straight through the thinning hair. So she just looks completely bald in the front. And I'm like, I didn't even have words. I don't have words to describe.
Do you have that photo?
I literally am gonna.
Oh my god.
I don't have the photo. It's gone. It's in the garbage. I don't know where it went, but I looked really hard and I cannot find it. But I'm gonna try to describe the photo. So get really close up to my face. But I'm gonna hold it because this is what she was doing. And it was like this. Her eyes were kind of, like, fuzzy like this. She's like like that, but except, like, and the lighting was so bright in the classroom that it was, like, here, and you could see where the hair was, like, thinning. Like, it was so bad. Like, full balding. It was just terrifying. It scarred me. And I'm really glad I was able to talk about it here because I feel like I needed to get that out of my system. Are you kidding?
This next part of the story is probably the most uncomfortable part because it is honestly probably one of the weirdest conversations I've ever had online. Ever. Period. Ever. So on May 12th, 2019, I posted this photo on Instagram at Brentwood of the red tide that was coming in. So she sent me my post and said, smash, with 3 capitalized A's. And fully aware and knowing what that means, I still replied, I'm not sure what that means, but thank you anyways, smiley face heart. Now, looking back, that's probably the worst decision I could have made. I should have just left it at anyways. Then she replied, I'm gay for you, daddy, with a bunch of different letters capitalized, like that dumb SpongeBob meme from like a year or two ago. Then I replied, that's strange given the fact that we are opposite genders. See, I'm so creeped out, I don't know how to respond to this. I've never been on the other side of these kinds of interactions. So the only way I know how to respond to this is by like half sarcasm, jokey sort of nonsense. If I was a boy, I'd be your bottom. Dick me down, papi. Sorry, I'm not into men. I have a pussy and a dick so small, it's basically a clit. Already, what the fuck? What the fuck is this? What are we? Are we 14-year-old boys? What is going on? What? I've never had a conversation like this with anyone. Nonetheless, with a fucking stranger that I've still never met in person. Never. Still to this point, not met in person. So I'm just baffled. I'm totally baffled at what the fuck's going on here. But this isn't where the conversation ends. Oh no, it keeps going. Just wait. So to that absolute fucking nonsense, I reply with, well, either way, I have a girlfriend, so I will not be partaking in such activities with you. My sincere apologies. Ooh, is it Maya? She says. Yes, ma'am. Aw, congrats. You two are so cute. Thanks. I thought it was obvious. It was. And then she sends a random picture of some dude and says, dis my boo. And I have nothing else to say to that image of her boyfriend, but what a gentleman. Other than the weird comments about the bussy, there's a lot to unpack from what just happened in the past 15 seconds. So the fact that she already knew I was in a relationship with Maya has me so confused. So what was she saying to me then? What the hell was all this bullshit about, smash, I'm gay for you, daddy, if I was a boy, I'd be your bottom, fuck me in the ass raw, I have a pussy, and I have a dick so small, it's basically a clit. What is that? Is that her being friendly? Yeah, not flirty at all, totally really friendly, and funny too, really funny, yeah, totally not creepy at all, it's just hilarious, absolutely fucking hilarious. After saying it was, she then sends a picture of some random dude and says, dis my boo. Now, I don't know if she's saying this as an attempt to negate everything she just said, like, oh no, I'm not a creep, I'm not a weirdo. See, I have a boyfriend. See, I'm not flirting with you. I'm being funny, I'm being friendly, I'm being, how normal strangers interact with each other on the internet. So after that fucking disaster, I graduate. And summer of 2019 begins. I believe she breaks up with her boyfriend. My boyfriend and I just broke up. And my my version of sympathy with her is, yeah, that sucks. Yeah. And then throughout the entirety of the summer, she's continuously asking me if I want to hang out and collaborate and paint each other naked and spread paint over each other's naked bodies. Neither of that's true, but that's exactly how I felt like things were going to go if I did end up joining her. But as summer comes to a close, I start to realize the inevitable. I'm going to UVic. I'm going to be attending the exact same school and be taking classes in the exact same location as the girl who sends me Harry Potter memes, draws me as a Ken Barbie doll, and tells me how tight her bussy hole is. I'm going to be in the same vicinity as that person. Now, this last little bit where I spent that year avoiding her, it's all kind of a blur. I'm sure there's a ton of little stories in there of her just being a creep, but a lot of them are just a blur because I've tried to block them out of my mind as best as I can. Um, and also, spoiler alert, she's now blocked on Snapchat, so I'm sure I could go back and look at old messages that she had saved and old photos she had saved and whatnot, but because I'm no longer friends with her on Snapchat, that's no longer accessible. So unfortunately, I'll just have to go off pure memory here. I actually remember very distinctly on the very first day of university at UVic, the tents were up, everyone was handing out brochures of information, and I was walking with Tom and Adam about to grab a hot dog to go sit somewhere and eat, and I think I remember walking past her. I could recognize her chubbiness and her bright blue short hair, and I just walked right past her and covered my face and walked very quickly to make sure that she wouldn't recognize me. And I think to this day, that is the closest I've ever been to her physically. So, like I said, there's a ton of little stories going through the year of UVic where she was just being a creep as usual. One of them that I remember very distinctly is that she got a new boyfriend and decided it would be appropriate to send me an image of her cuddling with him while he was shirtless with the caption, "Hairy Nips." And yes, indeed, he did have very hairy nipples, and it was evident from the photo that she sent me. You could see in detail the patch of hairs coming from that man's nipple. So, of course, I don't have a screenshot of this because any screenshots of something like that would show her that I, in some capacity, enjoy what she sends me, and the last thing I want is more hairy nip photos. So, no, I don't have a screenshot of it. But if I do have the time, I'll put up a little drawing rendition of what exactly she sent me, and I'll put it right here. Yeah, that's what she sent me. So, like any other reasonable fucking human being, I replied with a deadpan face with the caption being, "Why the fuck would you ever think I would ever want to see something like that? And why would you think it'd be appropriate to send to me?" Something along the lines of that, right? Okay? Yeah? Probably the most crude and brutally honest I've been with her so far. Or, yeah, ever. And her response to that is her smiling and saying, "Because you like hairy nips, you naughty animal," or you naughty boy, something to the effect of that. So she's obviously one of those people that can't understand serious tone when they read it. I don't understand how you could read something like what I sent and think of it as a joke. And I've met a ton of people like this throughout my life who can't take the fucking hint, and you'll just be like, "Oh, fuck you. You're an asshole." And they'll go, "Haha, you're so funny." So this was very disappointing to me because it took a lot of courage to say something like that, and for her to take it as a joke, it was a lot of effort for literally nothing in return. So now we get to the fun part where she got to meet the people in my life. The second instance of Annabel meeting with people in my life is when she met Jeremy. Now, they met on a ferry, and when I say they met, she ran up to him and started a conversation. Now, I could tell this story for Jeremy, but I actually do have a clip of Jeremy explaining what happened that fateful day when he got to meet Annabel. So here it is right here.
Yeah, no, we're really good friends. Like, back, and I was like, "Oh, cool. Like, what's your name?" And like within seconds, like I could start to get the vibe. Like, oh, you're crazy. Like, what's going on? And then, yeah, we were talking for a while, and I was like, wait, so how do you know, like, how did you recognize me, though? And she's like, oh, I think you're in one of his Instagram photos. And I was like, wait, oh, okay, I see.
Oh,
well,
you're a stalker and a
very
psychopath.
Nice talking to you.
But leave me alone forever.
And yeah, she wouldn't let me go, man. She would not stop talking, and she would not stop asking questions about you. And like the fact that she recognized me as like a fucking background person,
character of like Cole Wist,
foil character in the background of Cole Wist's Instagram life. And she recognizes me, even though at this point I probably have like a haircut and shit, and she still recognizes me out of a crowd of people. I don't know how many times she has flicked the bean to your Instagram, dog. I'm so
okay. Now I'm scared. Now I've never thought about that before.
How could she recognize my face if she's literally never met me and doesn't even know anything about me, but recognizes me from your Instagram? She knows your Instagram photos so well that she can pick up a stranger and be like, that's one of Cole's friends. I know it. Yeah, your
it's
Instagram.
scary.
I've seen you.
It's scary.
They're very uncomfortable situation.
So the last little story that I have before we conclude this video actually occurred on Friday the 13th. I remember all the little details of what happened that day. So I was in a lecture and I was snapping back and forth with her. She was asking me random questions, just trying to keep the conversation going, and I was humoring her by just answering very blandly. Eventually came up that I was going somewhere for the weekend. She asked where. I said I was going back to Vancouver to go visit Maya for the weekend, and she said, oh, I'm going back to Vancouver this weekend too. I said, yeah, I'm taking the 3 o'clock ferry. And she goes, oh, what a coincidence. I'm taking the 3 o'clock ferry. And that I'm just... Cue the Vine boom sound effect. Anyway, I'm like, oh God, now here we go. So she's like, oh, how are you getting there? I said, oh, I think I'm gonna bus. And she's like, oh, I'll take the bus with you. I go, I think I'll take a taxi. And she's like, oh, what if we share a taxi and split the fare? I go, oh my God. So I can't say no. I don't know how to say no at this point. So I go, I probably won't be able to make it. I'm leaving like pretty soon. She's like, oh no, just wait for me, just whatever, and I'll be really quick. I'll run and grab my stuff right after. So I know this. I'm grabbing this taxi right after the lecture, and as soon as the lecture ends, I am booking it back to my dorm, because I know I only have a certain amount of time before she's ready and runs to the exact same bus loop that I'm going to be waiting at to grab my taxi. So I grab my stuff. I'm running to this bus loop, and this whole time she's texting me, she's calling me. I keep ignoring it or hanging it up. She keeps calling me back, being like, where are you? I'm flipping shit. I'm like, oh my God, she's gonna find me, and I'm gonna have to end up being in a taxi with this person for 70 minutes, and I'm gonna be on a ferry with this person. I'm freaking out. So my solution is I hide behind one of the buses, and I straight up just look through the windows of the bus, waiting for this taxi, being on the lookout for any blue, short-haired, chubby girls running along with a duffel bag. I was fucking terrified. Like, genuinely, there's no way I wanted to spend that elongated amount of time with this person in a secluded area. So I think I spent I don't even know how time just went by so weirdly during that time, but I was fucking terrified. I think I was texting Maya like, she's coming for me. I gotta get out of here. But I think I was behind the bus for 3 minutes, and then I saw my taxi pull up. I ran to the taxi, and like a fucking movie, I opened the door, throw my stuff in. I was like, go, 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 go! And I finally drive off. And so that's when I finally decide to text Annabel back. And she's saying, where are you, 15 times. I just said, oh, sorry, my taxi just left. My bad, or whatever. And she's so dense and so desperate to see me that she's going, oh no, just tell him to loop around for a bit, and I'll jump right in. I say, nah, we're already so far away. She doesn't get that I don't want to see her at all. So thankfully the taxi's off at this point, but I still have to face the fact that, oh, we're gonna be on the same ferry. So when the taxi arrives, I sprint off the taxi, I get onto the ferry, I turn off the notifications on my phone, and for the entirety of the ferry ride, I went into the very, very, very back of the ferry and hid in the cafeteria area, like in those little booth things, but like in the very corner, so that I was pretty much hidden from everyone else. And it wasn't until after I got off the ferry that I realized that I don't think she took the same ferry as me. I think she took one the 1 hour later than me, or it was a different one, but at the same time. The point is, I don't think she was on that ferry, and so um, I went that whole time freaking out, thinking that she was going to be hunting for me on that ferry when I don't think we were on the same ferry to begin with. So now we come to the conclusion of the story, because at this point, I reach Maya's and she sees how frazzled and genuinely terrified I am of this girl, and she sits me down and basically says, you need to do something about this, and you block her, you need to remove her from all your contacts or something like that. So we sit down and I basically go, okay, and I unfriend and also block her on Snapchat. So the only way to contact me is through Instagram DMs. So about a week later, she does exactly what I said. She DMs me on Instagram, the only way she can contact me. She says, just so you know, I wasn't flirting with you, if that's why you deleted me off Snapchat. And I totally ship you and Maya, you guys are so cute. The fact that she has to preface this conversation by saying I wasn't flirting with you tells me that she knows that what she was doing was already very flirtatious, which goes without saying. I don't really need to explain that. And of course, me being the bitter son of a bitch I am, I respond with appreciate it, and that's it. September 20th, she makes an attempt to start another conversation by saying, did you block me? Question mark. And of course, I just say yes. And then later she responds, why? What did I do? I just want to be friends. That's it. One artist to another. And so this is where I had that sit down with Maya, and this is where I break it to her. Maya helped me piece this little thing together. It's a short paragraph. It gets right to the point. Here's what I said. To be honest, I've been uncomfortable from day one with how forward and persistent you've been. I've tried to make myself sound passive on text, but I guess it didn't translate through. I blocked you because I didn't know what else to do, and honestly, I was a bit creeped out at times. You approaching my friends on the ferry, drawing me and posting it without my consent, etc. We have never even met, and I've just felt it all to be a lot. I'm sorry, but I just don't think we click. Pretty good, right? A day later, I'm guessing she took some time to process it. She said, sorry about that. Good luck with your future endeavors. And that is the last I have heard from our sweet Annabel Keaton. In conclusion, I don't necessarily hate her. It's hard to hate someone when they are just so blindly obsessed with someone or in love, which I don't think who knows? I don't know what her feelings were. But the point is, I don't necessarily hate her. I just think she definitely has some issues to work out. She's definitely not all there, but I don't want to be so forward and guess her mental illness if there even is one. Maybe she's just not totally socially aware. I think she was more in love with the idea of me than, myself actually, because of our similarities in what our hobbies and our likes were. I mentioned once or twice I liked Harry Potter, I liked nerd stuff, superheroes and whatnot. And of course the big one was that I was an artist. I drew, she drew, we're both artists, so that was something that just clicked in her head that, oh, this person is like me, when in reality we were nothing like each other. And just because we both have similar likes doesn't mean that we connect at all as people. And yeah, that lack of social awareness made it hard for her to understand that. But overall, I don't hold a grudge. It didn't really traumatize me. It's more of a funny experience now, hence why I'm, recording a little story time for it. It's pretty funny, especially when it's someone like me who, you'd never expect to have a stalker. So yeah, I was definitely very uncomfortable at times, but I will admit, it was a little bit fun seeing those the weird ass things she'd say to me. It was a little bit entertaining because I was fully aware she was never gonna harm me in any way. Anyways, yeah, that's pretty much the end of it. So yeah, that's the story of Cole Wist and his stalker.
And if you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and hit that fucking bell notifications so you never miss a new video.